All right, Marilyn, it's Chesapeake Oyster Week. It's fresh, it's briny, and it's straight from the bay to the table.
We are counting out Maryland wild oysters to support our local watermen. And behind me here, we're also growing salty oysters in the Chincoteague Bay of Maryland.
Owner of Fallen Pine Oyster Company, Dan Worrell, also known as Dan the Oyster Man, says they are celebrating Chesapeake oyster culture in the state of Maryland, and that with the tough winter, this week is shockingly important.
If you don't have a good oyster season, it's hard to have a good crab season. If you don't have a good crab season, it's hard to have a good oyster season. So all this kind of works around and just moves each job into the next season.
And with the oysters taking 2 to 3 years to grow before they're served on the raw bar, every season is crucial.
If that oyster ends up on your plate, it has gone through everything. They're extremely resilient. They've made it through 2 tough winters, a couple tough summers, and they're going to end up on your plate very soon.
Oyster Recovery Partnership Alson Albert Garcia says Chesapeake Oyster Week is the tastiest way to support the organization's restoration efforts. So for all you raw bar enthusiasts, it's time to get shucking, as the organization will pick up shells from restaurants.
They go through about a year-long process where they're aged and then cleaned and seeded with new oyster larvae. And then those larvae connect to the shell. We call them spat on shell. They get loaded onto a boat and planted back in the Chesapeake Bay.
Over 33 years, the organization has planted more than 14 billion oysters on 3,000 acres of reef, rebuilding the reef and supporting the community.
Supporting watermen, you're supporting farmers, you're supporting bay-friendly businesses.
Support your watermen and eat some oysters in Snow Hill. I'm Haley Ray, WMDT, because local matters.
And Fallen Pine Oyster Company is a local Eastern Shore oyster farm, but they'll be popping up all over Maryland this week. The farm is working overtime in Snow Hill to count out Maryland wild oysters. They're sending out shipments of wild oysters for businesses all over while preparing their own briny oysters in the Chincoteague Bay of Maryland. The farm's oysters will be included in Snow Hill's 15th annual oyster roast this Sunday from 1 to 5 p.m., where you can find local oysters prepared a dozen ways. But the farm is also taking a trip over the bridge.
And you can come get oysters from Fallen Pine Oyster Company at Game Day Firehouse right by Camden Yards this Thursday for opening day. We'll be there all day outside right by the back of the firehouse. Come see us. Go O's.
And to hear more about the Chesapeake Oyster Week and the restoration effort, you can check out our website. That's WMDT.com.